Hey, how's it going? So I am that 66 Chevelle. My name is Henry, and this is my first long form video. So I'm making this video to basically talk about what my plans are for this, and how I got this Chevelle, and what parts are all going into it, and what I'm going to be doing with this channel. So yeah, stick around if you want to find out. Before I get into all that, if you like what I'm doing here, support my channel by a like or subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. But you know, if you don't want to, that's all right. But yeah, so let's get into it. Start off, how did I get this Chevelle? Well, I'll put a picture of the Facebook link or the Facebook description up if I can, if I have it. But basically, I'm 17 now, and I've been looking for a car. 60s is my favorite, and you know, for hot rods, there's nothing better than 60s in my opinion. You know, somewhere around that age, Chevelle has always been one of my favorite cars, and you know, some like Camaro, Chevelle, Nova, all those cars. I'm a Chevy guy, obviously. So I got this by basically one night I was scrolling Marketplace. At the time, I think I was looking at a couple other cars, going to look at a I believe a Trans Am, like the late 3rd gen Trans Ams, you know, where they got the weird looking 4 eyes, which you can find those pretty regularly for cheap on Marketplace, and they make a great car for starter project, in my opinion. But then I saw this come up, and I think the guy wanted $4,500 for it, and so the rest is history, kind of. Yeah. So what happened was he had just built an engine for it. I think it was a 350 or something like that. Might have been a 383. But he wanted to sell it all together with a transmission and you know, engine and all that set up the way it is right now. Obviously, I've done a bunch of work to it already. You can see over here with the body panels and all that, and how it's all torn down. I'll put up a picture here of what it looked like before all my work on it, the day I bought it. But basically, I said, hey, so I've already built a engine for this car that I'm looking for, because I had actually, when I was 16, I built the 350, which is sitting over there right now, and I'll, you know, throw up a video or whatever. But at the time, I had the small block already running, so I wasn't, you know, I was looking for a roller car. So I said, hey, would you take $3 grand for it, with, you know, set up all together, but as a roller with no engine or transmission? And he said, yeah, he'd take that. So that's, well, now you know, that's what this cost me. This car, everything that came with it, all the tin, most of the trim and all the glass and all that, and just some roller wheels, nothing special. I actually bought a new pair that I made a video on, of some slotted Kragers that I just bought the other day for it. But anyways, I'm rambling. And then so the only thing pretty much it didn't come with was engine and transmission. And now when I bought this, it was a lot, he was selling it as a lot less of a project than it actually was. I think his description was something like, all you need to do is brakes, and then he actually had floor pans in it already, but the trans tunnel was pretty rotted, and they were only filler panels, so it really didn't even cover up where the rust was, and it was just a really bad job, in my opinion. So what I ended up doing was, after I bought it from him, I realized all that, where it needed 80% in the back, especially on the driver's side. I don't know if I have a picture of that from before, but it must have been in a wreck or something, because it had a significant amount of damage on that side. On the passenger side, it wasn't as bad, but 100, you know, whatever it was, $125 for 80%. I would figure, why not, if it already needed patch panels. But yeah, so when I got it from him, he was saying, oh, it just needs some brake work. And then obviously I bought his roller, so engine and transmission. Came with the differential, and then just a couple other bits to get going. And so when I bought it from it, I got it delivered by him. I paid him extra to deliver it to my house because he was, I think it was 6 hours away, 5 hours away, something like that. And I don't have a trailer, so I'd have to go to U-Haul and all that. So I, worked some out with him where I was able to, for him to bring it up here. So basically I bought it sight unseen, which is, honestly, I probably still would have bought it considering how ambitious I was and what I thought it was at the time. But buying it sight unseen, I basically just, when it was it got delivered here, and I was like, well, handed over the money. I wasn't going to tell him to drive it back. So, yeah, that's the whole story there. And so I met a real good, friend of mine, a real cool guy. And he is a parts dealer for AMD, Auto Metal Direct, or something like that. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, so I got all these body panels from him, and so I got these. So here's all the tin I got for it: 2 rear 8%, left and right side, 2-sided, 2-piece, full floor pan set, and then I also bought, because at the time who I had, or how I met Fred was he was parting out a 66 chevelle. So what I did is I went up there and I bought front fenders, brand new front fenders, brand new front wheel well, not brand new. They're pretty rusted, but no holes or anything, just surface rust. And I also brought a couple little pieces like front hinges, which one side was missing, hood hinges, random shit like that, a couple little bits of trim and all that. And but he was like, hey, I can order some stuff up for you if you want. So yeah, I got all those panels, and so now I've got pretty much everything for the Chevelle. There's a couple, I'm not doing like a full trim build, like a museum quality, full restored. I'm not gonna throw brand new trim on, like right here on the top and all the labels and stuff on the back for a small block 250, because that's really not my goal. What my goal is, this being my first big car project, bumper to bumper basically, is just to get it up and running, get all the body panels on it and have it looking nice, and then primer it, getting it driving good, and then eventually save up enough money to, get a paint job on it and have it looking nice. But yeah, so where we're at right now is getting the rear quarters on it, and after that, then I'm gonna go to trunk pan. Oh, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. The trunk, he never mentioned anything about it, but it's pretty bad. So I got a 3-piece trunk pan set, which covers almost everything from the, from right here, the rear, all the way up to the front here, where the back seats are. And so I'll throw that in, and then, yeah, so that's what we're doing. And then, so the nice thing about this car was the frame's actually in great shape. There's no significant rust, there's no rust holes or anything like that. It's all in amazing shape. Basically what I have done so far to the front and underneath the the floor pans, is I wire wheeled the frame and then thrown a coat of rust reformer on, which is basically just a black, pretty much just black spray paint. I don't know if it really does anything, but I've seen good reviews online, so I like to think it at least does something for the car. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's the whole story right there. Here we get into the engine here. I have this little, and I recommend, if anybody, I got this idea from Gold's Garage. Check him out on YouTube. He's an older guy, but he's, he has pretty much invaluable experience. I mean, the amount of experience the guy has is just insane. And he builds engines. I think he's in Canada, but I've watched him ever since I was, since he's been posting regularly. And he has a great series for a small block Chevy, which is actually what helped me get through building mine, and all the little tips and tricks that you'd never know as a first-time builder. And it's always nice to have somebody with experience. But anyways, so he's big on keeping organization, which I'm terrible at, having ADHD. But basically, I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but I have all the parts, receipts, and everything. So here's cam, stuff for my transmission, and all the torque specs and everything. Then I have over here a build sheet, which has everything, and then more torque specs here for the engine. And then also I have, you know, parts, magazines and stuff like that for doing research there. But basically, so when I built this engine, it kind of, when I was first getting into engines or build, you know, I've always, I've had experience from an early age just because my upbringing, working on dirt bikes, motor, snowmobiles, stuff like that. And I've redone a ton of small engines, but this was the first V8, bigger engine, specifically V8 that I've done. And my goal originally was to do an LS. So I wanted to do something like a 5360 build, which would have been nice. But when I started to get kind of a layout of what I wanted, I guess you could call it, sort of like a path, I realized that I was more into 60s, and keeping with the 60s theme, I figured I'd go with small block, considering how easy they are to build. And I did. This block is a flat tappet engine. No, it's a hydraulic flat tappet, so no roller or anything fancy like that. I did have to do a break-in on it, obviously, but not too big of a deal. I would recommend it for anybody getting into it. The only thing is super, and this is another thing I got from Gold's Garage, super good lifters. If you buy some junk lift, even from a known, website or company, I wouldn't recommend getting their lifters. I would, and this is what Gold's Garage recommends, getting the GM Performance lifter. And they actually, I guess they have some sort of hardened tip on them, which helps them live longer. And it's all probably, Chinesium shit anyways, but, at least it gives you some sort of advantage, especially in this day and age where everything's pretty much junk. And that's really why people are moving away from 350s and flat tappet, especially because the parts just aren't there. They're just, the quality is so low on them. But, so get into some of the specs. I can go through my list here. So I'm not going to go through every part because you can see I have, this is filled up, and then I have more on the back page. But, I'll go through the big things. So the cam was a Summit, okay, let me find it here, 1785 cam. And I think that's around a 500 lift cam, so nothing crazy, mild lift. But it has a real nice sound to it, and should make some decent power. And here's where I'm taking the risk in the heads, was I didn't want to go with, because fuelie heads are getting so expensive nowadays, you can't get a pair for under $500-600 that are in decent shape on Marketplace nowadays. So I went for aftermarket heads because the heads that I bought were just some 70 smog heads, so nothing fancy. So I went with these, they're called DNA motoring or something like that. They're called, for CYLH for small block 350. I think I bought mine on Amazon, and then around $300 a piece. And there are a couple reviews of people saying that they're not super flat, and that they took them to the machine shop before they put them on the car. But There's a ton of reviews saying they're great heads, and I think the guy's called Cutter's Performance. Go check him out. He built, yeah, Cutter's Performance is the name. He built a small block 350 turbo, a boosted small block 350 that uses those heads, and I don't think he did any machine work on them. Kind of just threw them on the motor, and it worked amazing. And so that's kind of what I was aiming for. And originally, actually, I was going to go for boost too. I was going to basically copy his formula, but I was like, in the long run, there's just so many things that could go wrong for a first time builder especially. So this engine here, I obviously haven't got dynoed or anything, but with the compression ratio and parts that I've got into it, should be around 300, anywhere from 350 to 400 horse. Probably around the 350 mark to the wheels, something like 360, 380 to the wheels, which isn't a lot nowadays, but you know, especially in a heavier car like this. But I'm happy with it, especially for a first time build. But yeah, so that's what I got into the engine, and that's all for that basically. Just kind of get a nice little daily something to take out for fun, and it's got a little power under it, but you know, it's not gonna blow the doors off anything, you know, and have a nice little cruiser, and then basically go from there. Save up for paint job, get a nice, maybe down the road sell it or trade it for Nova of the same year. I love the second gen Novas, the 66, 67 Novas, or something like that, for the next project. So yeah, already planning for the future on that, but yeah, so those are my plans. And then final part, I just wanted to say basically how I was able to get this. So I probably already said like 10 times in this video, but I'm 17, and you don't see a lot of high schoolers affording this kind of car. So I've worked for farms and stuff like that since the 7th grade, and I've been pretty tight with my money, pretty much saving everything, and just having fun with cheap, you know, go-karts and dirt bikes around the house. And other than my truck, that's pretty much the only major purchase I've had. And so I need to stop saying but that's mainly the biggest purchase in my life up to now. And then now I have the Chevelle. So after I found this, I felt the need to splurge a little bit, and so that's how we're at right now. But for any people my age, if there's anybody watching this that's my age, I think the biggest thing that I would say is just start saving. If you have a car in mind that you like, and this is pretty rare. I was lucky to get this deal on this car for the shape that it was, even though I was just complaining about the shape that it's in, or was in when I bought it. It was a great deal, $3 grand for pretty much every tin. I didn't need to replace anything. I could have got it driving, you know, throw a motor in it the way it was, and it would have been fine. But I just felt like going a little bit above and beyond there. But yeah, so I got lucky on that department. But if you're in an area where there's not a lot of good deals popping up like that, I wouldn't say necessarily settle. If you like hate the 3rd gen Camaro, for example, which you can, around here, you can pick one of those up for like $2 grand on a good day, you know, or a 3rd gen Trans Am, or even late model 2nd gen Trans Am, like I was talking about earlier, buying one of those. You know, you can pick those up for a couple grand running and driving, and then you can have that as your project. We need a lot of younger guys in the car culture, because it's dying out. There is actually, I'm obviously online, you're probably watching the same videos that I am if you're on this video. So there's a resurgence coming on with a lot of younger people, but I would try and find something that you can work on. And if you don't have a ton of space, like I'm lucky to have my own bay in the garage, so I can have a car in there. But if you don't have something like that, buy let's say 2nd gen Trans Am for $5 grand. Around here, you can buy one for $5 grand running and driving. and then that's your project right there. And then you just work on it out on the curb if it ever needs anything. Because these old Chevys are so reliable. You know, they might be gas guzzlers, but you know, if they break down on you, it's all you need is $10, you know, wrench kit to get them fixed. You know, I mean, rebuilding a small block, I basically only need a torque wrench and about 3 different size sockets or something like that. So it's not that big of a deal, you know, to get started. So yeah, I mean, if you want to go for it, I'd say, and just immerse yourself in the culture and, you know, really get into it. But I think that's gonna end the video. So this is my first long form video, and I'm sorry for stuttering and saying all the time. Well, right, just like right there. So, damn it. But yeah, so hopefully more long form videos to go. If anybody's watching this, please comment if you want to see anything in specific. I'm thinking about making a video where I go in detail on finishing the top here, where, you know, blending that into the parent metal and Bondo and all that, which I'm really new to myself, so it'll be kind of a learning process for both of us, I guess. But yeah, so just comment below if you have any ideas specifically in mind, and hopefully in the future more projects to come. So yeah, thank you all for watching. But this has been That 66 Chevelle, and I'll see you all in the next one.